Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back.
They keep us on our toes here with that open, you guys. Good morning and welcome to Run It Back on FanDuel TV. My name is Michelle. Shams, do you ever wear a ball cap?
No, never gonna see that on me, Michelle. Sorry, I give them all to Chandler.
This teamwork is not working out for me. Stadium Insider Shams Charania, Chandler P, Lou Will, we all got the hat memo. We're here talking some hoops, reacting to last night. You know what? Maybe they are listening. We didn't want 8 straight days of nothing to talk about, so the Minnesota Timberwolves made it interesting. Here we go. Went into Dallas, came out winners. Now that series sits at 3-1. It was a 105-100 win. Karl Anthony Towns had 25 points. 20 of those came in the second half. He did foul out with under 2 minutes left. Anthony Edwards with 29, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. Luka had 28 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. But this is a Karl Anthony Towns moment we want to focus on here for a second because Chris Finch a game ago said it was hard to watch Cat coming up at certain points in games, taking bad threes. And then game 4 happens and he puts on a show, Chandler. I'm thinking sort of the negative public wording was a motivator.
Yeah, well, anytime you get your head coach challenging you like that in this part of the season, you want to play well and you want to perform. And he stepped up. They do not win this game without his clutch threes at the end. And he did it all while in foul trouble. He picked up a silly foul, and I'm saying, here we go again. And he stuck with it. He made big shots. He was efficient from the field. And 20 of his 25 points in the second half was huge. They needed every single one of those. And they don't win this game without him. So he's been getting ran through the media a little bit. He's been getting shit on. So when he has a game like this and he keeps their season alive, we have to give him his flowers because he was special last night. He did turn the ball over 4 times last night. It was a little careless at times, but he hit huge shots for them when a lot of other guys were struggling. And a lot of those shots were contested. That 3 in the corner was huge. So you have to give him his credit when he steps up and he performs like this with his seasons on the line, with his team season on the line. This was a big time performance by him.
Yeah, Lou, he does get a lot of crap. And this feels like the opposite of what the Karl Anthony Towns that gets a lot of crap would have done. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, it looked like he just made an assertive effort just to try to make the right plays. Every once in a while you'll see a head-scratching play from Cat. But last night it looked like he was focused, he was locked in, took good shots. Defensively, he was there. He was a presence in the middle of that floor. They didn't allow that single-side tag to beat him up like it did in the first 3 games, So you got to give these guys a lot of credit. Cat came out that second half, guns blazing, putting him in a position to win that basketball game just by his scoring ability and just attention to detail. I give these guys a lot of credit just by paying attention to the small things. And it worked out on them for them to get a big win and not to get swept. And, now that you're going back home in Game 5, when you get one game, it just opens up the door for confidence, So to have Game 5 on your court and have an opportunity to win another one, they're in a good position because of that.
All right, Shams, what'd you see? This one was entertaining.
Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns all year, it's been about sacrifice. When you talk to people around Minnesota, the fact that he initially from the start of the season and even last year, he understood this is Anthony Edwards' team and he's going to fit in. But they've needed him to come up big in this season. He just, the first 3 games, just did not do that. Last night, 10 points, 3 threes in that fourth quarter. So he came up big when they needed him. They were down 3-0. So the real pressure to me comes in Game 5. When they're really gonna have their backs up against the wall at home, gonna have the pressure of being at home, but definitely a big performance. And Anthony Edwards, that's why he gets on Karl Anthony Towns so much about fouling out, about fouling so much. Like, they know he's the X factor of this team. When he's not playing at a high level, when he's not being aggressive, when he's not making threes, when he's fouling a lot, this is a beatable team. And you saw in the second round against Denver how well he played, how dominant he played at different points. Spreading the floor, that's the guy that they need. If it's not going to be him, they obviously don't have a chance in any of these games.
It was nice to see him do the things. Anthony Edwards, this is what I heard all day yesterday talking to people. Anthony Edwards isn't going to let his team get swept. I mean, he did mention the fact that he's never been swept before and he was taking it personally. And then Game 4 happens. How impressive at such a young age, Chandler, to take the onus and walk in and say, not today.
Yeah, it's super impressive. And he's doing the whole thing again after the game to Micah Parsons, saying he's bringing back shoes for Game 6. And it's hard not to believe him. When this team is committed and they lock in, they play defense. And like Shams just said, Karl Anthony Towns, he's a huge difference maker. All year, all season, playoffs long, they've got something from Jaden McDaniels or Kyle Anderson. But their consistent guy for that second and sometimes first option, it's got to be Cat. He stretches the floor. Naz Reid, when he struggles like he did last night, it's got to come from Cat. And he was clutch. He had huge shots down the stretch. So when this team is clamping and they're getting offensive production from Ant, from Cat, from Mike Conley, they're getting a little bit of everything. This team is very, very good. And look, this team has had the lead in the final 5 minutes of every single game this series. They finally just finished last night. They committed to the defensive end. They didn't turn the ball over down late, and Cat made big shots. So it's not like this team, this would have been another very competitive sweep if they were to lose last night, kind of like the Eastern Conference. So this has not been a blowout. And like Lou just said too, they win this Game 5, all the pressure goes back to Dallas coming home, and anything can happen. So Dallas, I get it. It's hard to sweep. It's a prideful team. It's a talented team. But now don't go play with your food. You have to get Game 4 or Game 5 here because things get weird if they happen to smoke this game.
I mean, how great. I don't know, Lou. Personally, the shoe guarantee, because he did it in Denver, I think, to one of the kids that works in the locker room or something. Then he does it to Micah Parsons last night. I'll bring you back some shoes. Like, how great is Anthony Edwards for this league?
I'm loving it. He's having a great time. He's enjoying the moment. He's enjoying all these eyes on him. And he's becoming one of our favorite young superstars of the league just by the way that he's attacking these games, the way that he's competing, interacting with fans, interacting with the opposing teams. You know, you've seen a lot of trash talk, but everything that you see from Anthony Edwards, you see it with a smile on his face. It's not malicious. He's not trying to be disrespectful. He's having fun. Even in the games where he's mic'd up, it's a joy to hear him talk his trash and talk to everybody how engaging he is. He's a young guy. He's a 22-year-old who's at the top of the world right now, who's playing some of the best basketball in his young career, and he's having fun with it. So the fact that he has so much confidence in himself still being down 3-1, they don't look at this as a pride win. You know, let us get one so we won't be embarrassed. No, they still feel like they can go out and win 4 games to try to close this thing out. It's going to be a tall hill to climb, and he said that post-game that, you know, they still got a lot of work to do, but that's the mindset that you love to have from your young superstars. He still feels confident in his abilities. He feels like he's going to put them in a position to get back to Dallas at some point.
I have a question about Luka, because we saw a moment last night. We'll get to the 3 because it was stupid, but then he misses a free throw. So it's his 9th career playoff triple-double. Make sure I get all that in there. But he also then took the blame afterwards, Chandler, saying that he didn't play with enough energy, as he said. Do you agree with him?
You know, I think Dallas just played different. I feel like they were swing. They were moving the ball around. And last night they kind of went for home run plays early. They kind of forced a lot of bad shots early in the shot clock. And I didn't feel like Luka's energy was down. It felt like he still had the same pop. Him and Kyrie having 7 turnovers where those possessions are costly. And again, Jaden McDaniels, Kyle Anderson. I love the switch that the Minnesota Timberwolves did, putting Kyle Anderson on Luka. Alexander Walker, these guys, they have so many versatile defenders to kind of make it difficult on these two. But I can't sit here and watch the game and say Luka's energy was down. I thought Kyrie's energy was down. I thought he could have been a lot more aggressive. And when there's a game like this where your 2 stars are kind of struggling and you look at his stats, at Luka's stats, it's not that like it's a horrible game. I'd like to see Kyrie be more aggressive. But then on top of that, when you see PJ Washington's not making the shots he was making in the last series in the game before, he was 3 of 13. Kyrie 6 of 18. So I just think it was a bad night. It was an inefficient night offensively. And a lot of that has to do with Minnesota's defense. They clamp, they give you that length, they switch, they put different guys on them at different times of the game. They threw different coverages at them. So listen, it's a long series. They're not going to be perfect, but I thought his energy was fine. I think they just got to execute, get better shots, and not kind of go for that knockout punch. There's pressure when you're up 3-0 to sweep. You don't want to extend this. And now in the back of their head, as much as about saying it, there's a little bit of, oh shit, like we need to get this done here. So I thought his energy was fine. I thought he played fine. I just think collectively they got to be a lot better.
Can we talk about the 3, y'all? Lou, tell me about this 3, because I mean my mouth dropped open. I was like, this is stupid. Just stupid.
Yeah, this was, it was a bad foul. You know, I think being up 6, he felt he could be a little bit more aggressive with this play. It almost burnt them guys. Luckily, they had a 6-point lead. If this was a 3-point or a 4-point lead, this would be a completely different conversation today. But fortunately for them, they had a little wiggle room where it didn't burn as much. But, you know, you got to be smarter than that in these scenarios. Ant-Man knew that. That's why he didn't try to blame anyone. He didn't do the notorious this thing that all of the players do, that they always want to check on plays just to see what's going on. He took responsibility for it, but a ridiculous play from Luka to cut into this thing. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough time left or possessions left where it mattered, but ridiculous shot to make.
I just walk through life now.
Shams, didn't they change the rule? That play wasn't as bad, but there was a play earlier where Luka got the big in the air, clearly jumps forward, which is not his natural shooting motion, and they still called a foul. Didn't they change that rule a couple years ago where if the offensive player is the one seeking attention, it's not a foul?
Yeah, the swing through definitely has been changed. The rule has been changed entirely. And yeah, I think there has been a focus on the whole jumping aspect. But again, it still gets called. And I think that plays a little different because Ant is reaching in a little bit. And I think Luka just timed it perfectly. It didn't look like an unnatural, he's completely leaning into Anthony Edwards. Like, we can show it again. Like, it looks a little bit more natural than that, but still. But
there was
still,
another one
definitely.
Oh.
We got to find that one.
It was one on the left wing. I know the one you're talking about, Chandler.
There was one earlier where I think it was Towns. He got in the air. Maybe it was even Rudy. And the dude, he literally just lunged forward and jumped into him, and they called the foul. I was just confused. I thought they changed that rule.
I swear they changed it like 5-6 years ago. And like always, you guys played in the league. How many times do things get changed? And, you know, it kind of reverts back to what it's always been. But I think they have tried to stop that, and definitely the swing-through move is definitely a move where guys like KD were getting fouls, Lou was getting fouls constantly on that swing-through move, and they've definitely I think caught up on that, but there's still this jumping into the player that you know still is allowed, I guess.
It just looks so wonky as it's happening. Before
I retired, Chandler. That's what happened to the rule.
Right? Like, it just looks weird to me, like chasing things. But it worked out. Kyrie, before this one, said that Game 4 was Minnesota's Super Bowl. And then he goes out and loses this one, 14-1 now in closeout games. And Mike Conley had quite the game and outplayed him. Did you have that on your bingo card, Lou, before yesterday's game, that we'd have this situation where Mike Conley outplays Kyrie Irving in a closeout?
Listen, all great records and all good stats are meant to be broken or are meant to be trumped. Kyrie was 14-0 in closeout games before this one. And like you said, this was their Super Bowl. You run into a team that's highly motivated, that don't want to go home being swept and going on vacation. They showed a lot of pride. They showed a lot of resiliency, and like I said, me knowing the game in details, I thought they did a great job of fixing some of their game plans. You know, the single side tag was killing them with Derek Lively in there. Now that they don't have him in there, and it's Gafford doesn't have the playmaking ability that Derek Lively has, so that gives Minnesota a different look on defense where they can kind of take more chances and trapping Kyrie, trapping Luka in the middle of the paint, and they got a lot of great production from that. From the guard standpoint, from mano a mano, I thought Mike Conley just played with a lot of poise on the defensive end. He was disruptive on the offensive end. He always made timely buckets, always made timely plays, and that veteran leadership was there. So that was a good battle. I thought Conley got the better of him. I look forward to Game 5 and what these bring to the table. But like I said, as long as Derek Lively is out, this Minnesota Timberwolves team, they're going to be able to take more chances on that defensive end and clog that paint up.
Yeah, the comment wasn't outrageous. This was the Minnesota Timberwolves Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This is the biggest game of the year. They lose this game, they're flying to Cabo today. So Kyrie wasn't wrong. I think he just had an off night. He missed a couple bunnies. He also hit some ridiculous left-hand floaters in the lane yesterday. But I feel like the length kind of got to him with McDaniels kind of riding him, with Gobert in the paint. He was forced to take a lot of hard shots. And when they don't go down, you can see some inefficient nights, like a 6 for 18 from the field. So I don't mind the quote. This was their Super Bowl. This was a much bigger game, obviously, with their season on the line for Minnesota. But Dallas now has to show maturity. They have to understand, okay, we already went in there, Minnesota once, got a game. We went in there twice, got another game. Like, can we go on their home court in their season, go get 3 in Minnesota, and get off our legs and get some rest before next Thursday when Game 1 starts against the Boston Celtics? That's got to be their mindset, because again, if they happen to lose this game and they go back to Dallas, all the pressure is on the Mavs. You want to avoid that at all costs.
I can't even imagine the chaos. A lot of Derek Lively mentions there, Shams. Any word on if we could see him back in Game 5?
Day-to-day injury with that neck sprain. There's obviously a chance he could play in Game 5, but this is an injury. You saw him on the bench. He kept stretching his neck out. He kept kind of rolling his neck side to side. Clearly, it was bothering him. He got hit in the back of the head, and it's turned into and really morphed into a neck injury. The good news for the Mavs is he's not currently in concussion protocol. That's the one saving grace you can take from this, but still, this is something where they want it to be safe. Sat him out of Game 4, but there is a chance he's back in Game 5. They're just going to have to evaluate him today and tomorrow.
And you see his value too, because Luka and Kyrie create so much attention. They're so good in that pick and roll. They're so good in that single side tag, like Lou said, where their best big is a lob threat. And Gafford gave them really good minutes last night. There was a couple of plays in early last night where he was blocking shots. He really got them going. He got that arena buzzing. And he provides that lob threat. Derek Jones gets that lob threat, but he's obviously small. Powell didn't give him great minutes last night. And Kleber, you can't expect him just to get thrown in there in the Western Conference Finals and be productive. But I think every game that goes on, Kleber is going to get better. But this just shows you how important that lob threat for a guy like Luka is. When he draws 2 on the ball, it's so much easier just to throw it to the rim and let this young kid go get it. And that's a huge hole that they did not fill last night with him out.
They had that one, though, to Derek Jones. I don't know where y'all were watching the game, but there was an audible sound that came out of most people's faces when it happened. Do they need him, Lou? Like, I don't mean to sound callous when I say that. Obviously, he's a vital part of this roster, but to close out this series, just needing one more win, do they need Lively out there, or can he get more rest?
They don't need him, but it'll be nice. It'll be nice. You know, Chandler and I, we keep alluding to that single side tag. When you blitz in the middle of the floor and you give the ball to a guy like a Lively, he's able to kick it out, make passes. He's able to Euro step and finish in traffic. When you got Gafford, he's more of a lob guy. He's more of a finisher. They're giving that ball to him in the middle of the paint, and he's not as confident in making those decisions, making those plays. And he's traveling, he's turning it over. So you got to make him a lob threat. And Lively gives him the opportunity to continue to play that way. And so with him being out, like I just mentioned, it gives Minnesota an opportunity to be more aggressive on the defensive end. Where we see who they truly are, the defensive team, who they've been throughout the entirety of this season. And now that Lively is out, they can kind of play a little bit more aggressive. So do they absolutely need him? No, but it damn sure be nice to have them, to have that option for them to open that paint back up for them.
Good to have him out there. Okay, guys, after Game 3, Naz Reid said that if any team could win 4 in a row and come back, it was them. They got the one, Chandler. What kind of chance are you giving them to make it happen? History.
I mean, literally no one's ever done it. So, of course, they could say they could be the one, because it hasn't happened yet. I keep saying this, but if they win Game 5 and they go back to Dallas, I think it really, really shifts the energy. And if it goes past Game 6, I like Minnesota winning at home Game 7. So if I'm Dallas, I want to close this deal either tomorrow night, or I definitely want to close it Game 6 at home. Percent-wise, I don't know. They have a 10, 20% chance right now of coming, maybe less, to come back. But if it goes to 7, I like Minnesota. So Dallas better lock it up these next 2 games.
Do I have any takers? I think it's possible, and maybe I'm just wishful thinking because we don't want to sit here with no games to watch for an entire week. So let's just make that happen.
Selfishly, I want a long series just so we have stuff to talk about till Thursday. But you know how hard it is. Think about how hard it was for Dallas to win 4 straight. Now Minnesota has to go and do the same thing on the back end, being down 3-0. There's a reason it hasn't happened.
I know, but you have the power of A-Rod. I see him on the court side every single day. By the way, Shams, at some point I want to talk to you because I know that it's awkward behind the scenes with the sale of that team and everything, but he's always courtside anyways, I guess, because he still has the 40%. Can we get some drama during the off season about like interactions between he and Glenn Taylor and how that all works? Because anytime I see him, I'm just like, It's gotta be weird. I'm putting you on the spot. You don't have to answer me on anything. I'm just
Also,
letting you know what
though,
I think.
How have we not talked about, Shams, that these two teams in the Western Conference Finals are both like freshly like sold teams? Like, what great purchase, right? Like Patrick Dumont comes in, he buys the Mavs, they go to the Western Conference Finals, and same with A-Rod and then this group. I'm like, geez, what timing that purchase was.
It's that fresh energy. And both teams have presidents, GMs that they trust, and they've literally allowed all the resources available to go build that team. And so, Michelle, I don't think this is the last of the drama between Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lowry against Glenn Taylor. There will be plenty more.
Oh, I love it. He's sitting there in his suit, and I'm like, man, that's got to be weird when they pass each other, see each other, talk. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, he's back. Bobby Portis joins the show.
Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.
His trajectory is already what it is, right? I mean, he's already, on a fast track. The things he's doing is unreal for his age, unreal for just basketball itself. So, winning a championship, not winning a championship, he's pushed to where he is. Right now, if he stopped right today, he's first ballot Hall of Famer with those stats.
I mean, for the Gilbert Arenas quotes that we've had, that one's not crazy, Chandler. Are you buying that?
I think how good he's been so early on and not looking at the trajectory. Yeah, it's easy to say this. If he stopped right now, still he's a 5-time NBA All-Star, 5-time All-NBA first team, Rookie of the Year, scoring champ. So he does have the resume that is better than some of these guys that is in the Hall of Fame. So yeah, I don't think it's an outrageous statement. I think obviously he's just going to continue to get better. He's still going to shatter records. He's still going to put up an abundance of points. I think if this year, if he happens to get a championship, then it's a no-brainer. Right now, I would agree with them, but it's close right now. It's definitely close. But the fact that he's done this in such a short period of time is ridiculous. We know it's only going to get better. So yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
It's crazy too, because I find myself forgetting how young he is sometimes. Like I have to remind myself. I feel like I've been watching him play for 15 years. So yes, that one's not crazy. Don't worry, because wherever there's a Gilbert Arenas quote, there's a Paul Pierce quote. That's how it works. He said that he and Ray Allen were more clutch than Luka and Kyrie. Do you agree?
Again, I don't know why we put all this timetable on. They struggled last year. They only played a couple months together. Now this year, their first full season together, they're in the Western Conference Finals and looking to advance to go to the finals. So I think time will tell on this one. I think Ray Allen and Paul Pierce were very good. They got that championship in 2008. So I think that obviously helps. But Luka and Kyrie are both in their prime. They still have multiple years to go. So that's such an early, immature statement right now to say. I don't even have really an opinion on it because you have to give them more time. After this year, if they win, no, I think if the Dallas Mavericks go and they beat the Boston Celtics in the championship this year, this big monster of a team that's been the favorite all year long, it's hard for me to agree with this statement. But right now, sure, they played together much longer.
All right, we're going to give that one a sure. Isaiah Thomas said that Michael Jordan and Anthony Edwards games are not similar, and that just because they both jump high doesn't mean they're the same player. I mean, there you go. Do you think their games are that different?
It's just, again, this is another ridiculous comparison where it's not fair to Anthony Edwards. Why are we comparing him to the greatest player of all time? It's silly. So again, it's fun. We can always debate it. There's no right or wrong answer, but sure. When I see some clips and I see the mid range and I see the post ups and I see the fadeaways and how he, soars through the air and switches hands on his layups. Sure, I can see the similarities, but that's not fair to Anthony Edwards to even say this. He doesn't even like the comparison in the first place, but there's a lot of guys that jump high and that play that don't get compared to Michael Jordan. So I agree with them, but then there are some highlights. There are some nights where I'm like, wow, that did look a little Michael Jordan-esque. So it's hard not to see that. But enough with these comparisons. Let's just let these guys play, let these guys finish their career before we start labeling them as,
Nope.
it's ridiculous.
I feel like his persona is fun and larger than life. But you're telling me, Chandler, that picture that everybody had on the internet where it was half Michael Jordan, half Anthony Edwards, that didn't convince you?
Listen, the personality I love, the shit talking I love. He plays defense. He's a two-way player like MJ was. So again, are there similarities? Yeah. But I don't think it's a fair comparison. I think it's way too early in his young career. And I think he's got a chance to be really, really special. But we're talking Michael Jordan here.
We are talking Michael Jordan, y'all. Stop being crazy. Carmelo Anthony claims that LeBron will have a problem with a coach who thinks he knows more than him. I'm surprised that Melo said this, A, and do you think he's right?
Yeah, I think he's right. I am surprised he said this being his boy, but yeah, Melo knows him just about as good as anybody does. And this has been his track record. He's done this before. He's got guys like David Blatt. He's got coaches don't last with him because he's that powerful. He's that brilliant of a basketball mind. And it's hard for him, I'm sure, to be coached by someone that in his head knows less and doesn't know the game as much and can override his substitutions. And think about that. Think about if you're JJ Redick and you want to sub LeBron out of the game next year. He could just tell you no, like fuck off. And you literally have to keep him in the game. That's a tough thing to do, especially someone who knows him, who's played against him, with him, but podcast with him. That's a tough job. That is why people are a little hesitant on this JJ Redick situation, because that's tough. There's pressure when you coach a LeBron James, and you want to, as the head coach, you want to have the utmost respect, and you want to have the voice, and you want to have the power. And there's concerns when you're coaching a LeBron James team, you don't have that. So I fully agree with this. I think it's got to be an older guy that he respects, and it doesn't seem like they're interviewing any of those guys. So I don't think any of these candidates LeBron's going to they're going to hire, and he's going to come in here and love and respect, just fully listen to.
Well, what older guy? Like what?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Pop's not going anywhere.
Someone like that. That's not happening. It's just so I don't know. That's why when you see the Borrega or maybe a Sam Cassell, like an OG vet that played before him, but at the same time, LeBron, you don't think in the back of the head is gonna be like, I was so much better than this cat. Like I'm listening to this. Like so, it's tough.
I mean, he's gonna think that about anybody. So yeah, it's a
literally
tough game.
Unless it's like Pop or Spolstra it's hard, and those aren't options.
They're not options. Just let him coach the team. Why are we pretending? We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Bobby Portis is here. He's ready. Looks like he's got some things to say. Just kidding. When Run It Back returns.
Run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.
You know why I'm here, yeah, you know what I came to do. If it's you against me, no, I ain't gonna lose.
Bobby Portis, he is a competitor. Nothing but that for Bobby.
You know why I'm here.
Loved having him, wanted him back. Here he is, y'all. Bobby Portis joining the show again. And yeah, dude, we get at least another game, right? Because we were already dreading the fact that we were going to have 8 days of no basketball. What do we talk about? Oh, my God. But we get at least one more game. The Timberwolves stay alive. No team, has ever come back from 3-0. It's history. But do you think this team could do it?
You're asking me that, right?
Yes, I am. Could they be the first?
I don't know if they can be the first to do it, but I think they can, win game 5 at home. Obviously getting out to a slow start at the crib. Going down 0-2 is always tough, even 0-3. But for them to find a way to win the game, last night, especially with all the foul trouble that they went through and all the adversity that they went through throughout the game, I think that can help them, win game 5, especially being at home, having the home crowd behind their back and having their backs.
I mean, Chandler's like, if they win game 5, this whole thing becomes an issue. I have a question, though, about if you're Boston. X's and O's, personnel, what have you. You're sitting back. You got a whole week and a half to chill. Who would you rather face out of this one?
Man, to be honest, man, I think right now where Boston's at, I don't think it matters to them who they really play. The run that they're on right now, obviously, they've played the Heat without Jimmy and, the Cavs without, just Donovan for a couple games. And obviously the Tyrese Halliburton injury happened. But besides the injury buzz with them playing, man, they're playing some great basketball. Obviously getting down in some of those games and then coming back, finding ways to win. Feel like they're on one string. Obviously, Drew Holiday has picked it up tremendously throughout these playoffs. His game has gone to another level. Every round they've advanced to making big championship plays. So to me personally, in general, I don't think it really matters to them who they play. I just think they're ready.
Bobby, there's been a lot of talk recently about Luka's place among the greatest players of all time. Gilbert Arenas said if he retired tomorrow, he's already a Hall of Famer. I said last week I think he's already a better basketball player, not a better resume than Larry Bird, but a better basketball player than Larry Bird. Do you agree that he's that special of a talent?
To me, man, like comparing, guys that play now and guys that play back in the day, it's kind of like unfair to me because the game has changed and evolved so much, man, from when Larry played, man. So it's kind of unfair to compare eras and things like that. But I do agree with you guys. I think he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. This is his 6th season, and he's what made all first team All-NBA 5 out of 6 years. Dominates the game and really all facets, manipulates the game, gets downhill to pick and roll, throw the lob. If the low man tags, it's just the lob man, corner spray. If they stay home, float game. Like he has all the tools in his package, and obviously playing against him throughout the years, tough cover, man, especially in pick and roll actions and one-on-one situations when the defense has to change and switch 1 through 5. So I definitely agree with you guys with the first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. He's tough.
Bobby, let me ask you this: out of the guys that's left, who do you think is the best player that still remains in these playoffs? Would it be Luka, Ant-Man, Tatum, Kyrie? Who would you say is the best player left in these playoffs?
Overall player?
For sure.
If we
that
say
you would go
overall
with.
player,
If you want one of these guys to lead you, who would you take? I'll put it like that.
if I want these guys to lead me right now, I'll probably take Luka. Just for the simple fact that he makes all the right reads, man. Especially in pick and roll situations, half court settings. Sometimes throughout the playoffs, and throughout just a championship run in general, like you need guys that's able to, obviously get their own shots, but also able to create for others. And he does that at a high level better than, most guys in the league, generating pick and roll, opportunities and points through lobs and through kick out threes and obviously being able to get his own bucket. So me right now, I'll pick Luka, the guy that I would have lead my team.
So I want to, when you're guarding a guy like Luka, or really just specifically Luka, I wouldn't necessarily say there are many guys like Luka. Are you hyper aware of a moment that he gets you that you're just like, shit, that is going viral? Do you know when that moment happens?
You kind of don't know it, right? Like as a basketball player, as someone who locks in on his defensive assignment and just trying to be in the right spot. Sometimes you don't really notice that stuff. Like last night, picture like, Ant-Man didn't know that he was going to jump into him and foul him, and he just hits a, 30-foot bomb and one, even though he didn't make the free throw. Like, you can't really time the things that sometimes he does. So definitely as a basketball player, playing against all these crafty guards nowadays, guards are so good. Even Lou Lou go left and bump you a little bit. He going up and shooting free throws. You know what I'm saying? So these guys are so crafty nowadays with getting to the line and getting guys in foul trouble that you kind of got to respect their games. And like I said, man, that's why I say it's kind of unfair to compare eras, man. Like the game has just evolved so much differently. Like, Luka's 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", and he's a point guard. So, like, it's just different ball these days.
BP, there was a chance that you got traded to Dallas at the trade deadline. I know you're happy in Milwaukee, but do you ever imagine what it would have been like to play with a Kyrie Irving and a Luka Doncic?
Yeah, man. Obviously, once things happen and you kind of settle in with your own team because that's, who you want to be with. You don't really think about any other teams and things like that. Obviously when you're sitting at home and, you've been at home for a whole month and, you get to watching games and things like that. Obviously guys probably have it in their heads and things like that. Me personally, I didn't never really think about playing with them, until you might see yourself in a certain situation where it might be you in the corner. And, I shoot a lot of corner threes as well and things like that. So you might see yourself envisioning yourself in different spots and things like that. So I'm not going to say I all the way envision myself playing with them and things like that. But, sometimes in certain situations, you can be like, oh, okay, I can knock that down as well. You know what I'm saying?
Can we talk Rudy Gobert? I get asked this a lot by people. I think they think I'm going to have some inside scoop on how everybody else thinks, but he gets a lot of hate. I mean, former players, current players. Hate, hate.
So
and I'm like, man, I don't.
But
I used to think,
Bobby,
but why?
he earned some of it. He earned a little
how much
bit
of it? Because it's a lot.
Listen,
oh, no,
it's
they
all
be
fair.
on his neck, though, man. I'm talking about he can't do nothing right. He can't do nothing right, man. Like, I swear, it's no matter what he does, I don't know if it's because
ever since he touched the microphones during COVID, bro, it went left. COVID. When he touched the microphones, it went left.
Yeah, but that, and it's sometimes, just as a basketball player or just someone who watches the game and someone who loves the game, I think him winning so many Defensive Player of the Year awards and then get into the playoffs, and then it's sometimes team has to sub him out, or sometimes he might be unplayable, or sometimes it just doesn't look like a Defensive Player of the Year. Sometimes I think the eye test for Defensive Player of the Year is someone who's going out there locking up the other guys, best player on their team. Sometimes I think guys just get on his head more so for that than his game, whatever it is. But definitely, every time I get on TV, I hear it. If I get on social media, I see it. Or, if after the game, they gonna be talking about it as well. So it's like a never-ending thing with him, man. And then, come on, man. Draymond did something to him. It just, I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what's going on.
Draymond hates.
Bobby, let me I want to ask you about Rudy Gobert, because in my group chat with my homies, we have this debate about Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
They don't feel like he's deserving of being a Defensive Player of the Year 4 times. They don't understand his impact. You being a stretch 4, sometimes you can play 5 if y'all go small lineup. Walk me through his impact at the rim and what he brings to the table as a defensive player and why he's deserving for so many Defensive Players of the Year.
I think first and foremost, I think as a Defensive Player of the Year, sometimes I think it can be from team defense success. You know what I'm saying? I think that's one probably analytic that's probably misconstrued and lost in the shuffle that guys don't probably take into consideration. Probably when he's on the floor, their defensive rating is probably plus such and such number, whatever that number is. So I think sometimes that kind of gets misconstrued. But I think from NBAs and, someone who watches the game, eye test, guys want to see Defensive Player of the Year guard the other guy's best player, being able to switch and do multiple things on defense. But playing against Rudy, man, obviously he's in a drop coverage, defensive scheme, and he does a great job of, playing 2 guys, really get behind him. Obviously in this series is been kind of tough, obviously, because they have 2 great lob threats in Daniel Gafford and, Derek Lively. But throughout the regular season, when you're game planning for Rudy Gobert, it's not like you have a 7-game series to game plan for him. It's a 1 game in and out. So it's kind of, difficult to, just evaluate him that way.
By the way, my whole thing with him is as the Defensive Player of the Year, don't you want to see him switch a pick and roll and just
That's the thing too.
Lock up Kyrie Irving on the line. It doesn't have to be big on big. Like, I want to see him switch on Luka or Kyrie, move his feet, shut his shit down like a Jaden McDaniels would do, like a Kawhi Leonard would do, like Draymond does. That, to me, is the versatility of a defensive player of the year. I want to see him do that. Not block shots, not alter a lob. I know their defense was great this year, but as for him to get my vote, I want to see him do that. I want to see him shut off Dame Lillard's, water late in the game. Not just block shots and what I mean.
I don't know, man.
I get what you're saying, Chandler. Like when he switched off on Luka last game for the game winner, you want to have confidence knowing we got an opportunity to stop. That's what you're saying. And we didn't feel that.
There's a video.
Did y'all see Jay McDaniels behind him though? Did y'all see the picture of Jay McDaniels? Did y'all see the picture of Jay McDaniels right behind him, trying to he's like he wasn't really confident in it, like as a teammate, I want to be fully confident in my teammate getting up there. I want to be in my help gaps, knowing that, hey, bro, you by yourself,
especially defensive player of the year.
Yeah, I want my teammate doing this. In the background.
I want to see a switch and not see that face on my teammate. I want to say, okay, yeah, we got this.
Exactly.
That face.
But also sometimes it's like switching and being honest with yourself. Like sometimes when you are switching big, if like this guy's shifty or this guy can go by me, maybe like switch with, 7 and below seconds on the clock. So now, you only have to guard them 2, 3, 4 dribbles. So if you can guard someone 2, 3, 4 dribbles, then that's great defense. You know what I'm saying? Like time and situation and when to switch is also critical as well. You might not want to switch on the guy at 16 seconds and he has a live dribble for 14 seconds. He can get by you, then the defense break down. Now we're in, scram mode. So sometimes switching with time and space and knowing the proper timing is also important as well, especially with switching big sometimes.
BP, there's obviously a lot of chatter right now about the next face of the NBA. Ant's name always comes up. But who do you think is the face of the NBA right now? Or can be the next face?
I think just right now, the face of the NBA, obviously still Steph Curry, LeBron. Them guys not retired. Them guys not going nowhere. Those guys do a good job and have done a great job of representing everything that the NBA wants to be represented by. Obviously great players in their regard on the court, but off the court, they're even better people as well. So clean slate, you never hear nothing bad about those guys. They stay out of trouble. They represent and, they're everything that, the NBA wants their, athletes to be, obviously. So right now, still to this day, it's still Steph Curry, LeBron, back and forth between those guys. But the new generation, obviously, you have, Ant-Man, he's coming up. You got Luka Doncic. You got Jason Tatum. Those just, guys on the short list. There's many guys that can assume the role, but right now in the current state of the NBA, man, it's still Steph Curry, LeBron.
Well, guys are still here, y'all. All right, so Bobby, there was a moment you tweeted over the weekend. I don't think fans have probably ever been able to relate to you more than this moment when you tweeted, does the best team win the championship every year or does the team with the most luck win? This is literally the argument we all have with each other every single day. So I ask you, let's just fast forward. Let's say the Celtics win this thing. Are they the best team or did they get damn lucky?
No, obviously, I think throughout the regular season, they've been the best team, right? You can't discredit anyone's team success in this game, obviously, because you go out, you go through the regular season, you play 82 games, and the run that they went on this year was crazy. I don't think they lost 2 or 3 games in a row all season long throughout the regular season, so that's tough in that regard. And then they've been healthy all season. Obviously, Kristaps has been out the last 10 games or 11 games in the playoffs, but besides that, they've done a good job of managing the season. So, I think throughout the regular season, they've been the best team. If we fast forward throughout the playoffs, I think the best team, I don't know if, they've been the best team, obviously, because of the injury bug that they played. So it can go hand in hand, man. Obviously, I think that they've been the best team throughout the regular season, but throughout the playoffs, I can't say, obviously, because, they played a injury-plagued team in the Heat. Obviously with Jimmy being out, didn't play a game, and Spider Mitchell being out, Donovan being out a couple games, and then what happened to Halliburton in the conference finals. So it's kind of tricky each and every season. I think every team and every championship team gets a little luck along the way, but I don't know if they've been the best team in the playoffs. I can't say that per se.
I feel like so many conversations are, a healthy Bucks team, a healthy Knicks team. Would they have beat the Boston Celtics? You are a part of this Bucks team. If y'all had been 100%, could you have beaten this team?
I mean, obviously that's the catch, right? Like, I feel like if any team feel like they was healthy, they can beat anybody. But that's not, a part of the game. Obviously, I'll take us over anybody fully healthy any day of the week.
There we
Man.
go.
We can
Give
line
us something
them up,
juicy.
whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? We can line them up whenever, man. But, obviously that's not the case. So, do I think we're the best team if we were healthy? Yes. But are we healthy and were we? Nah. So it kind of doesn't even matter. Every year is going to be like that. Like, next year is going to be another team that has an injury out of nowhere. That's just part of what the playoff presents, and that's kind of what keeps it interesting.
BP, I'm skipping my question here about the Pacers because I know that you're hyped that there's been a lot of shit you've talked during the
Depend on you to go wrong.
But my last question here is about Giannis's brother, because he gets a lot of shit.
Man.
I need you to set the record straight. Number one, can he actually play? Like, is there practices?
This is good.
And he's dominating. And number two, I heard he's hilarious. Is he just an awesome dude, energy guy, or can the man actually play?
Yeah, so, man, that's my brother. Like, we talk each and every day. We communicate each and every day. Like he's a great, great human being, man. So, obviously, like, when you get on the team with somebody and obviously being not on the team with them, you see all the things, you kind of take hold of it, and you kind of think it's a joke as well. But then, once you actually get on the team with him and you actually see how he is on a daily basis, he's a great guy and great player. Like, people don't understand, bro really got game, though, for real. Like, bro can really hoop. He might get in and something might go wrong. He might go viral for doing anything, but that's just comes with the territory of being his brother's brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? The only thing they say about the only bad thing they say about his brother is that, sometimes he misses free throws, airball his free throws, but that's the only really bad thing they say. So, he gets all the hatred from being, his big brother. So, bro can really play, though, for real. And, I think the world will actually see if he actually got a real shot, but, they only get the last minutes of the game where, he been sitting down and now they want to make him go viral, though. So, bro really can hoop. I think Dame backed it too. Dame backed it too in the All-Star game as well, man. Y'all don't believe me, though. I know y'all don't believe me on here.
I feel bad
Y'all don't believe me on here. We can have a conversation. Y'all don't believe me. I get it. Y'all don't believe me.
I got caught up in the noise. I got caught up in the highlights. I wanted to dislike him so bad. But every time I ran into him, he was so respectful. He showed so much love. He like, what's up, legend, man? You the GOAT. I watched you growing up. And I was like, I can't dislike this dude. Like, he was always so positive. But simply because he's Giannis' brother, he get a short end of the stick. And he
get all the hate every time, bro.
He celebrate every single thing. He gonna celebrate it. So he easy target, but he a good dude, man. That's what's up.
Poor guy.
And man, everybody on the team has a certain role, right? So 1 through 15. Obviously, if you're the best guy on the team, obviously, your role on the team is different from the 15th guy on the team. So everybody's role is very important and vital to the championship team. So he brings a level of leadership as well, man, holding guys accountable, making sure guys are, right when they come off the bench, come off the court. Obviously, the emotions are high. Coach might sub you out. Coach might do this and that. He just hold guys accountable in different ways, and everybody respects what he does because how hard he works on a daily basis. So I can't say nothing wrong about the guy, man. The guy put it down each and every day and, work as hard. He works just as hard as everybody else does, man. He might not always show, he might not get the opportunity, but, when it's time and, when it's winning time, he's always right there with us, spreading that positivity and always staying positive each and every day, man.
Well, now I just feel for him. We got to get Thanasis jerseys. We're gonna.
Yeah, don't get you one, man.
I love. Did you notice, Bobby, that the only way to lose heart is if you just talk nicely about Lou, and then he'll completely change his opinion on you? Did you hear that?
Sure.
Oh, that's what it is. That's how you get Lou right there. Talk real nice to him.
That was it. That was it.
Real nice to him, huh?
This has been awesome. I know we're up against the clock. We run out of time. We appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Lose the
I appreciate you guys, man, having me on here, man. Appreciate you. Shams,
you.
man, what's up, baby? Sean, what's up, baby? You good, baby? What's up, baby?
BP.
What's up, man? What's up, man? I can't get no. Oh, my goodness.
Shams, are you frozen?
Can't get no love. Can't get no love.
What's happening?
Jobs.
Hey,
BP, it's always
since
a
that
pleasure,
last
bro.
episode, Bobby. He been off you since then, Bobby. I ain't gonna lie. Look.
I didn't get any questions. I didn't get any
man?
questions.
We
What do you want me to do?
We got 10 seconds. Say something nice, Shams.
Running back, run
Bye.
it up, run it back,
We'll see y'all tomorrow.
run it back, run it up, 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 then run it back, run it up, then run it